we're going to go ahead and move on because training camp, preseason, it's all done. 53-man rosters, they're out. But before we get to the 53 man to kind of compare our mock to what actually happened, well, we got to talk about cut day, where a lot of notable names got cut. And it really kind of surprising on some of these running backs. Now, Sony Michel, he was one of the guys that got cut. He actually just got picked up by the Chargers. Duke Johnson, just speaking from the running back position, there's a couple guys on there because, actually the first thought after Robinson went down was potential running back. So there's some guys from there. But talk to me about some of the guys that are available now and who got cut.
Yeah. Well, all right, you want to talk about who's available now?
Yeah.
All right. Positions we need or just like some notable guys?
Notable, but leaning towards the positions and things that are actually going to affect us.
Gotcha. All right. So it was kind of interesting this year. Like you said, there was a couple names out there that kind of just say, huh? Well, and it looks like the philosophy of cuts changed this year. And I didn't know that this rule changed. It used to be years ago that the only people that could be on your practice squad were younger players, that if you were a vet, you were not allowed. They changed that around COVID times in an effort to let teams expand their roster, knowing that players could go out at any moment and you needed to make sure you had guys who were ready to get in there. Well, this year, they essentially said, if you're a veteran, you can be cut by your team, but not be exposed to waivers, meaning you're not available to the other teams, I think maybe for like a day or so basically the team that cut you had first chance to bring you back. And you saw that. The big name out there, the biggest name I think was Logan Ryan was cut by the Bucs. All right. But they were able to cut him. All right. So on the day that today is the day that your 53 is official, they then could put their center, Ryan Jensen, on injured reserve, which means that he's eligible to come back during the year because he spent one day on the 53, and the Bucs have already re-signed Logan Ryan, and he's coming back. So it was like a weird loophole. You saw it in Dallas. They cut 2 quarterbacks, 2 kickers, and a long snapper. So as of today, Dallas had nobody to kick the ball and no one to snap it.
Love that.
So like obviously that is just, not even fathomable. So it's like, but they were finding this loophole. So they could, put Tyron Smith, if they wanted to, on that injured reserve designated to return so he can come back. So it's kind of surprising. So you saw a little bit of movement around, but then you also saw players just going right back to their teams. The veterans, this could only happen for veterans. If you were like less than 2 or 3 years worth of service, you're exposed to waivers, in general. And we had a couple guys, there was Alex Leatherwood. Yeah. The lineman from the Raiders got cut and picked up immediately by the Bears, today. And that I would have loved to have him. I think it says something. If you get cut 1 year after being drafted, that's a red flag to me.
Yeah.
But if there's one coach that I think that we have that's good, is our O-line coach. Mm-hmm. And I would have loved to get a chance to get his hands on that guy and kind of teach him, some things. So that was a big one. The other one that I saw, and it's too late, was Tyler Johnson of the Bucs got cut. And he went to the Texans. And I mean, I immediately was like, pounce on this guy. Yeah. He brings size. I've already heard Cam Sims is a little bit nicked up. So I really thought he could be an improvement to our wide receiver room. There is one other guy, and he's still available, that I would be all for right now, especially hearing that Cam Curl is hurt. And we keep talking about how we don't like our safeties. So the Eagles cut Anthony Harris. Ooh. They made the trade for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and they want to move him to safety. They cut Anthony Harris. He was drafted by Minnesota, started there for 3 years. This was going to be his second year in Philly. Came from the University of Virginia, kind of played both safety spots. I think he'd be terrific to add to our team. As much as I love Jeremy Reeves and him making the roster and all that stuff, I just think as a player, this would be a huge addition for us. So that's a guy I would love for us to sign. I got a couple other names, but I don't want to take up too much time. Is there anyone out there that you saw that surprised you of a cut and you went, he might fit for us?
A lot of it. I mean, immediately thought was Sony Michel because of the fact that it was kind of like, okay, this. I mean, he's not. I think he'd be a little bit better than what Gibson was, but I thought he has championship pedigree. He's played in the Super Bowl with the Patriots. He's played with the Rams in big games, so he knows what it takes. And I thought it would be a good locker room guy, especially in that backfield where we're going to need. I think one of the things that Nate was talking about coaching. I think one of the best ways to coach up a running back is to have him talk to a veteran running back. What are some things you're doing? What are some things that can help you out? So seeing him, Marlon Mack is another one. A couple of these guys that, were premier guys a couple of years back and, we either injuries or other guys. And with the Colts, I mean, obviously Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines are over there. So, kind of get, you're not contributing on the field. You're kind of getting pushed out. So those are some interesting ones. Out corner, I've always liked this guy, and he's a part of one of the craziest Super Bowl plays. Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
I mean, to see that he got cut kind of really surprised me, and it goes along with that same thing. Now that we don't have Landon, we don't have really a real veteran presence. Let's get somebody who's, again, been in big name games, been in Super Bowls, played with championship caliber teams and players, and let's get him in our locker room, and maybe he can fix from the inside out some of those things that we do need to address. But those are two things that I was just definitely focused on: running back and
you're missing one. You're missing the position. Your guy. The Bills cut Jalen Weidermeyer.
Yeah, you did. Yes. But okay, I'm gonna tell you, because this goes also along with Kohler's on IR, and I talked to Nate. They're not gonna let him go, but it's when I saw that we had 5, it was kind of like, really, you know what I mean? Like because if you remember, all of us had 4, and my 4th guy was Blanton. Now we'll talk about that. They obviously let him go, and I guess okay, we see in Hodges and Rogers something special, but I was sitting there like, yes. Weidermeyer's available, Kohler, some of these guys, I was like, yo, what, But once I saw 5, I was like, all right, they're not gonna put in any time for that. I did see that you put that in, and I appreciate it. There's another that I wanted us to go look at that guy out of Virginia or Maryland, that tight end. See if we could trade for that guy.
Yeah, he ain't getting cut.
I know.
No, I would not be opposed to bring him in, because if you think about it, we kept 2 guys who were undrafted. Rodgers showed really well in preseason and showed he earned the spot. But, I mean, Weidemeyer showed something in the pre-draft stuff that he did get selected. Now, it does show up a red flag, what's happened as to why the Bills are cutting a draft pick, that type of stuff. But I wouldn't be opposed to it. The one I thought we may hear more is out of New England, Devin Asiasi, if I said that right. So, apparently, in our last year in the draft, Washington was interested in him. So there was a little bit of like, look out for this name, but he signed with the Bengals, I believe it is. So, he's not available. Here's one. I want him on the practice squad because I just got to know. Okay, I just got to know. And he's been cut by now 2 teams in this 3 or 4 years. So, and he tore his ACL, so he doesn't have it. But all I saw when he played at Wisconsin was Troy Fumagalli being able to do everything. He could block, he could catch, he caught everything. He's like John Bates. Like, come on, let's put him on our practice squad. Let's get that Bates guy in here. But I'll tell you what, there was a position that there were a lot of cuts made. And I'm curious if any of these guys are going to come here. All right. And that's linebacker. And there were a lot of names that to me were very marquee based on like scouting from old drafts and even just, some players. The first one I'll start off like, this is what I kind of have my eye on, is one of our old guys got cut by the Texans, KPL, Kevin Pierre-Louis. And if you got to remember with this team, with the linebackers, they want guys who can run. They're not looking for, like, you and I both like the guy, Joe Scobert. Yeah. That's not a guy that they want. Yeah. He's that David Mayo type run stopper. They're not looking for those linebackers. They want the Khalil Hudsons and the Jamin Davises for better, to give a better comparison. So I don't see us going after those guys. But KPL is a guy who could run and cover. and he had speed, and that's what they really liked about him. I don't think they were too thrilled when they lost him last year to Houston. So I'm curious to wonder, would they be bringing him back? There's a guy out of Detroit that was a first-round pick. All right. Now, he was cut. He went to another team. They brought him back, and they cut him again. So to me, that's got to be a huge red flag. But I've always had interest in Gerard Davis. And maybe it's because I saw him crushing it at Florida, and he just showed so much speed. But it always makes me kind of intrigued. But I got another name for you that I'm curious about. This is just for you, buddy.
Uh-huh.
The Minnesota Vikings cut linebacker Chaz Surratt out of UNC.
Former quarterback turned linebacker. Let's go.
He was a linebacker safety type player in college. And I remember, showing a lot of interest in here and him, and the Vikings changed their defense. So it may be a scheme fit for him rather than, does he get it? But there are two other names I'll throw out there. And actually, if I think Nathan's paying attention to, I need him to chime in on this, but Kenny Young used to play for the Ravens. So he's more of a veteran, but he's got someone who's made plays. He's got some speed on that. I think he was cut by the Chargers or the Broncos. I'm not sure, but he's another intriguing one. And then the last one I got, we liked him out of Kentucky last year, Joe Giles Harris. Do you remember that name?
Yes.
He was one of those guys in mocks we kept going with. So there's linebackers out there is what I'm trying to say. We've got a chance to get, to improve our linebacker depth, because I don't think we like any of those guys. And I'm just kind of curious to see who they're going to bring in, because they have hinted that they have their 53, but it's not their final 53.
Exactly. This is going to change day in and day out. And speaking of changes and speaking of linebacker, you're the guy that we used to have that might potentially be coming back, Bostic.
John Bostic.
Yeah.
It does appear like he will be making the return to Washington. It's being reported, not officially by the team, but most of the reporters have said that he is coming tomorrow to sign his contract. They've always said that Washington was keeping their eyes on him and kind of anticipating bringing him back. But honestly, man, I'll be, he just got cut by the Saints. And it's hard when you sign late in training camp and preseason sometimes to make these rosters. I'm kind of like, if you guys had your eye on him the whole time, why did you not bring him in here?
Right.
Why were you running out some of the guys that we ran out on in preseason if you were only interested in bringing this guy back?
Right.
I don't know. That bothers me about the way they handled that.
Oh, yeah. Got some comments over here. Anton saying Josh Gordon from the Chiefs, wide receiver for Brown. He don't have the best history. Right. He likes to get down. Did you hear that right? Sean wants to terp in Washington. One time only. All right.
He saw the talent. He saw I was right.
Devin Funches. No, I saw the name. Wasn't he on Green Bay?
He was.
I believe he was. He was also on Carolina for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony, what's up, man?
Hello.
My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. Yes, Anthony, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday slipped into a little bit of his Mike Tyson. That's all you're gonna get from me. So shout out to him. Yeah, it's very interesting. But I think the key thing about it is that, like you said, what we see today most likely is not going to be what we see tomorrow, this weekend, next week, and certainly not going to be what we see for the first game on the 11th. So don't get connected to these rosters or what happened, because there's going to be a lot of change, especially with what you were talking about the veterans, and the team having the first option to get them back. These are definitely things that we're going to have to just keep an eye on. Obviously, watching the Football Weekly, we're going to do that for y'all. Try to keep an eye on who's coming in, who's coming out, and try to see when it gets down to when it actually gets down to the first game day roster, see kind of how it looks in comparison to what it looked like back in July for us and all the guys that, aren't there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Let's go. Izmir, or I haven't heard a word from Landon Collins. Yeah, since he walked out before Wentz got in the locker room. Yeah, that's what do you think about that?
Landon made a visit here in Charlotte to visit with the Panthers. So
Yeah.
I might not be surprised if something happens there. That's the only place I've heard him visit, to be honest.
Yeah. That's quite interesting. Because I thought, we had speculated earlier that maybe they're just cutting him to kind of wait for the money to think right, and then June 1st they switch and potentially bring him back. But for everything we've seen, they moved on.
They moved on. They did.
You know what I mean? I will say this, and I sent you this today. Speaking of safeties, I don't know if you got that little clip I sent you of your boy from South Carolina, Mr. DJ Swearinger.
No, I missed it.
I got to check when we get off here. I sent it to through on Instagram, and it was some wide receiver coming around the middle and breaking tackles and everything, and all of a sudden you see Swear just coming with a shoulder, and the dude flips, and you're just like, oh my god.
Oh, was it in the Redskins or was it with South Carolina? Oh, against Clemson.
Yeah, against Clemson.
No, did he do the thing afterwards?
Oh yeah, over top of him. Yeah.
I know.
Man, what talent.
I keep checking eBay to get a Redskins Swearinger jersey. And one time, if he's around town, he's in Greenwood. I think if he's around town, just tell him we know we did you raw. Right. We know what a shame.
Sorry.
I know.
Oh man. Shout out to my baby. Looking good, guys. Loving the gear. Can't wait to see my Lions play Washington. Yes, we will be there week 2.
Oh my gosh. Is that Kat talking in there?
That is Kat.
Oh my gosh. So I just saw a thing on Twitter and I couldn't help but laugh. They were quoting Eminem and they said, "Time's up over Blau," because they just cut David Blau in Detroit.
I did see that. Hey, yo, you know what? Shout out to Kat, though. You know what I mean? Obviously, she doesn't try to dive into all this like we do, but she mentioned that to me. She said, did you know we just cut our backup quarterback? Is that going to be anything? And I was like,
good for her getting involved.
I was like, okay, Kat, all right. I like that. Up, here it is. Psh, here we go with them Gamecocks. Sean already it's like, yep, let's go. And them in there, what the new name? Don't y'all have a new name or the new mascot?
Oh, the general.
yeah, the general.
No more Sir Big Spur. It should have been what the fans voted on. That was great.
the commander, yeah.
So great. Man, I can say it down here. We think nothing of it. Cock commander. We don't say the word. We don't care.
Let's go. Oh man. Oh. Okay, Nathan Snell, Jared Goff, Pro Bowl year, baby.
Oh, I'll take that bet. I will take that bet, Nate.
Maybe in Madden? I don't know. We'll see. Oh, yeah, the general, he's selling car insurance with second.
I actually think it makes a lot of sense. I know because some people down here are like, but they named it after Thomas Sumter, who was known as the Fighting Gamecock. It relates really well. Okay, I think people just pissed because it's not Sir Big Spur.
Right.
It's a chicken, folks.
Oh, you're right. We are heading to Maryland and MSU game. Yes, we are, Kat.
Nice.
And Cock Commander. That's what we're doing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. For the first time, we're getting off the rails.
Right. We got to go, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.